My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Bioshock. Now, I heard amazing things about this game, and I still wasn't excited to play it because at this point I've become numb to game recommendations. Like, I've heard so many amazing things about so many games, and I play them and I just end up feeling about them. Like, I heard Ghost of Tsushima was incredible, played it, didn't like it. I heard God of War was incredible, so I played it, didn't really care for it. I heard Horizon Zero Dawn was incredible, I played it, I thought that game was absolutely awful. I played Heavy Rain, heard it was really good, played it, it has not aged well at all, and I hated it. So I was just expecting that to be the case with this game, but consider me pleasantly surprised when within a few minutes I absolutely fell in love with this game and it's worth every bit of praise I've ever heard about it. It's one of the best games I've ever played and I could not be happier to say that. Let's talk about the story first, and there's not really much to talk about here because it's a very simple story. You've got a plane that crashes, you discover an underwater city that's on the verge of destruction, and you just make your way through it. That's pretty much about it. Like, there is more things that get brought up later on, but it is a very simple story, and I think that was the right approach here. And I just love it in stories when you think that you've accomplished the main goal, but then something happens unexpectedly and you hit rock bottom and you just feel the stakes all the more. And this game has that, and I really dug that approach here. I love the direction the last act takes. And there was this one line. I don't think this is a spoiler, but if it is, it came out 15 years ago, so you should be fine. But it's, what's the difference between a man and a slave? A man chooses, a slave obeys. And that's really one of the main ideas at the core of this game, and I really loved it. I thought the ending I got was really good. I chose to be a good person throughout, and I was satisfied with what I got. And I just loved the lore, the civil war that happened, the everything about Adam, the big daddies and little sisters. And then there's this one character named Sanders Cohen, who's not in the game a ton, but the time he is in it, he completely steals the show and he's a terrific villain. But like I said, the game isn't the main priority here. The main priority is the setting and atmosphere. And in that, the game exceeded every single expectation. The setting of the underwater city is phenomenal. It's every bit as beautiful and as atmospheric as you'd wish it would be. This game is just dripping with atmosphere. And I loved looking outside and seeing the rest of the city and just grasping the fact that you're underwater. And there's a few small touches I love. Like, if you look at the window, sometimes there's a starfish attached to it. So I really love that. And I just love the fact that everything's falling apart. So it just feels like an area that's been lived in and is on the verge of destruction. And just so much detail was put into every inch of the place. And I wasn't expecting this to be as scary as it is. Like, I wasn't expecting this to be a horror game, but it is very much a survival horror. Some locations that you go to are legitimately bone chilling. Like, there's this hospital wing early on and a dentist section, which I thought were really frightening. There's a fleet hall, there's a garden, there's nightclubs that you go to, and just every location is brought to life so incredibly well. And I just love how you're constantly changing levels and areas so the game doesn't become stagnant. And there's some areas just filled with blood and dead bodies, and it just makes the place all the more creepy. Even at a certain point, dead bodies start rising up and it kept me on edge. It's kind of when you play Last of Us 2 and you're making your way through the hotel and you know that a clicker could pop out of anywhere, and I got some of that same tension here. There's also these enemies that hide on the roof and they just pop down whenever, and it's really great, but it was tense. So there's just a lot of creepy people popping up all over the place, and there's this one guy who constantly sings Jesus loves you, and it really got under my skin. So I loved that, but a lot of the atmosphere is also enhanced by the incredible sound design. Like, this is one of the best sounding games ever. Throughout the game you have to go to these vending machines to purchase stuff, and just the sound from all the different machines just sounded incredible. It reminded me of Arkham Asylum in moments, and I also love how whenever a big daddy is nearby, You can hear it. You can hear the shakiness and that he's getting closer and closer. Very similar to Mr. X in Resident Evil 2. I love the music score by Gary Sherman. It kind of reminds me of the score for Insidious in moments, and I love that score. I also love how this game uses old-fashioned music in certain areas, so it just has this vintage sound to it. I think this game still looks absolutely incredible, and just lots of details went into absolutely everything. Like if you take a drink of alcohol, everything's blurry for like 10 seconds. And just for a game that's been out for as long as it has been, it has held up remarkably well. Like, I wasn't expecting this game to be as fun as it was to play. Like, it's the perfect mix between survival horror and action. You got all the creepy atmosphere and tension you want from survival horror, but you still are able to take down enemies in lots of fun ways. So it just delivers in every way I could have wanted it to be. I love exploring and how the compass guides you. That was a very nice touch. And I love the variety of the enemies, from the spider splicers that I said hang up on the roof, to the Houdini splicers who just disappear and reappear at will, to the big daddies, to the turrets, to just everything. And I also love the variety of the weapons. You've got a crossbow, which one shot actually can do a lot of damage. You got a shotgun, which was my favorite weapon, the machine gun, grenade launcher, flamethrower. You just got them all, and you got a bunch of different ammo with each weapon, from destructive shotgun shells to electric ones. You've got armor-piercing bullets that can do a lot more damage on big daddies. So just the amount of strategy you have to use the weapons with is really well done, and I love the variety of the abilities you're able to have. You can create cyclones, make people angry and kill each other. You can control big daddies. You can use telekinesis, which was my favorite one if you used it effectively. Electric, shock waves. Actually, no. My favorite one was the flame one. I used that one all the time. And I loved it when you could set someone on fire and they jump into some nearby water and then you electrocute the water. I always loved doing that. And I also loved how there's a point where you keep switching powers and you have zero control over it. I thought that was a great way to keep the game interesting so it doesn't become stagnant. I just love how you gain new abilities and how you power up throughout. How you use the cash system or the atom system and just all that. Fighting people is fun, but it does bring me to my biggest negative of this game. And it's very difficult. Like, I don't know, maybe I just suck at video games. That's a very realistic possibility. But I died a lot. Like, when you first encounter big daddies, they're like impossible to kill. And it does get easier once you become more powerful. But for a while, I was really frustrated. And a part of me does wish we had a bit more health and that, I don't know, maybe I'm just very bad. But I did die a lot, and I kept going back to that tube a lot, and at some points it did get really frustrating. The turrets can get annoying, and I wasn't a fan of the hacking because I had to find the right piece super fast, and I just never did, so I just kept buying auto hack things and used it that way. But those are my only negatives, and if my only negative is that the game is really hard, you know you've got yourself a damn great game, and this game is indeed that. After playing it, I actually think I'm very frustrated by the fact that Gore Verbinski's movie was never made. I think that's an absolute travesty because I think he could have made an incredible adaptation of this game and I would have loved to see that. Like, out of all the cancelled movies in history, this is the one I want the most. And I think another good way to summarize this game is it's a mixture of Batman Arkham Asylum and Resident Evil 2. It's those two games put together, and that's a huge positive for me. Like I said, there's not a ton of story, but what we do get is really good. But there's just so much lore on display, and the atmosphere and the setting just make this game so incredible. It kept me on edge. I found it to be incredibly fun. It's tense, it's creepy, and I just had a blast playing it. I absolutely loved it. I can't recommend this game enough, and I hope the sequels are every bit as good as this one. So I'm going to go ahead and give Bioshock an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, have you played Bioshock? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.